And we are back for season 2, episode 2 of the Unlimited Range podcast with your hosts, Jack and Dean. And it is February 20th, the day after my birthday. How are things going?
That's good. Happy birthday, Jack.
Happy birthday. It was a great day. It did, unfortunately, cost me my bowling league because we got about an inch of snow over here in Nashville, and they decided to shut everything down. So I was looking forward to bowling league, my Wednesday bowling league. Which did not happen, but overall it was still a pretty good birthday.
Yeah. We went out for pizza. Did you like that pizza on Monday?
Yeah, we did. We on Monday, we did it Monday because I was supposed to be bowling on Wednesday.
Right.
So that's why we did it Monday. So yeah, Monday. What was that place called?
Pizza Perfect.
Yeah, it was like
over in Vanderbilt. If you're in Nashville, you're listening locally, try out Pizza Perfect. I thought it was really good for what we had.
Yeah, it was really good. And it was more of like a pizza place than like a, because I had told you to, you're good at finding restaurants and stuff. I had told you, sometimes I get the breweries, it's okay, the pizza, but it's kind of like the pizza's an afterthought. And I was looking for like a really good pizza. And it was pretty good. It was like a little side street. It was a little pizza place. And it was like a wood-fired deal. And I got the barbecue, barbecue bacon or something like that. And yeah, it was really good.
Yeah, we had bacon cheeseburger pizza, and that was I really liked that. And the
and they even had something for the veggie.
A lot of veggie options, I thought. So it was good. I had pizza when I was in Philadelphia. I went to Philadelphia for the Super Bowl parade. There it is, off the street for $15. That was a good deal. So yeah, there's guys all over the place selling T-shirts. But so we came back from California the week before the Super Bowl, and your sister's like, we were talking about, could we get tickets to go down to New Orleans or something, and just like, it's a big hassle, and it's $3,000 at the very least.
Yeah, you're not a guy that's gonna. You're a value guy. You're a good value guy. You're not seeing the value in like $6,000 in Super Bowl tickets, which I can't blame.
I don't think so. So we actually went out to the Super Bowl parade, and it was great.
Side note: I don't want to interrupt you, but do you know? Because didn't my grandpa go to like Super Bowl II?
He did.
I wonder. Do you know what those tickets cost? Was it like $5 back then?
No, your mom has a ticket stub. It was less than $100. I think actually, I don't. I'd have to ask her. It was probably less than $50 a ticket. But I know they had a whole package. He went with his brother-in-law down there to Miami, and they had flight and a hotel and all this, and it was like a couple $100, I think.
Wouldn't that be nice?
So, yeah, I mean, anyway, that'd be great.
Anyway, keep going.
No, so we went for the parade. So we got there on Thursday, and we booked it, and then we thought it was going to be like Wednesday or Thursday. They had weather, so it ended up being Friday. But so we got out there and went down to the pro shop. It was crazy. It was like there probably was 300 people in the pro shop down at the link. People just buying all kinds of stuff, but it was great. So I got this jersey.
People aren't afraid to. Yeah, that's a sweet jersey. People are not afraid to spend some of their last few bucks on merch. That's definitely the truth. People, if they get that money, when I've been to those places like March Madness, I went to the Sweet 16 one time, and I was just amazed at how willing people were to just like burn. It's like the money's just burning a hole in their pocket.
Yeah, I mean, I know
get their hands on anything.
Your mom worked down at the pro shop for the Preds and for a little while, and she's like, people come in there and buy a couple jerseys for a game, and a hockey jersey is at least $200, and then if you want to get it personalized, it's another $100. And people, I need two of these, and you're like, we're going to drop $600 on a couple.
We're going for a more personal approach. We've made some revisions. Why don't you give your stance on personalized jerseys, the ones that say like,
with your name on them,
like Dad, like number one.
Yeah,
grandpa.
I don't know. Somebody had. Oh my gosh, what did somebody? I wish I had remembered what somebody had at the parade. it was pretty rough. But yeah, it
The
doesn't.
fact, the thing that amazes me is I don't really have a problem with like somebody wearing like number one grandpa or whatever. Like it doesn't bother me. The thing that the thing that's crazy is like it's like double the price to do that. And it's like, wouldn't you
Oh
just?
yeah,
I mean, I guess maybe if money's no object, go number one grandpa if you want to, or whatever. But I can't imagine like paying double to get like a custom. I guess you could. I guess I will say this, and I've never thought about this till now. I have had a abysmal run. I was going to say a few years, but it's really been like my entire life. Nobody, I don't think I've ever had a player um, last more than like maybe 2 seasons since I got the jersey. So maybe going like number one son or
fan,
whatever would be, yeah, number one fan,
number one fan.
and just get my favorite number. Maybe then at least I can wear it for you know a longer period of time.
Yeah, well, I was excited when the Eagles drafted Nakobe Dean, so I
Yeah,
could actually
you
have.
get that. So that one, I want to be because Levi, the guy you actually stayed with, he helped you out with that, I think, right? Or
No, not
no,
with that one.
he helped you patch. He helped you patch the
So
jersey.
I had a Carson Wentz jersey that I had and had an actual nameplate on the back. And
Yeah,
Levi, my friend in Philly that we stayed with for the parade, I was like, "Hey, dude, can we send this to your guy and get the Wentz taken off and put AJ Brown on it, or just Brown?" And he's like, "Yeah, I think we could do that." And so we did. And I've been wearing the AJ Brown jersey since what 2021.
yeah.
Like
Shout out to friend of the podcast, Levi.
Levi,
Um,
we had a great time with Levi this week. He went with us to the parade. We had a great spot for the parade, and the what I think is kind of a
you're contemplating a potentially funny parade story.
well,
Wanna give that
there
to
was
us?
a couple different things. There was some kind of crazy people around us. When anybody starts drinking at 8 o'clock in the morning on a Friday morning to go to the parade, it's all kinds of shenanigans can happen. But there was this one guy walking around, and I didn't realize it at the time, but this guy walking around, he's probably 50-ish, maybe a little older, but he's kind of short. And he's got this ventriloquist dummy, and
Oh
they're
no,
both dressed up in like Eagles gear.
was it a
And
bit or was it real?
well, he was just, I
Was he
guess
just
that was his
drunk and
way
doing
of,
it, or was he like actually a
no, he
ventriloquist?
wasn't drunk. I don't know. Maybe he had a couple beers or something, but he was not like drunk, but he was just trying to entertain the crowd. And he's kind of going around and talking to people with the ventriloquist dummy. And I didn't realize it at the time, but apparently your sister really, that kind of gives her the heebie-jeebies. And
Yeah, there's a we could do a number of segments on that. She does get she friend of the pod, my sister. She gets uncomfortable. Like,
yeah, so she was like uncomfortable, and then the guy goes moving on, and we're like, man, that's crazy. Why would this guy be walking around Broad Street during the parade with this? And we're talking about this, and getting back in, getting ready for the parade, and all this. And then I kid you not, I turn around, and this guy is like poking Maggie on the shoulder with the ventriloquist dummy. And oh my god, your sister just about melted. I was like, she's like, "Ugh."
did somebody have to say get the hell out of here?
Oh my god, I couldn't like. It was almost like the dog that knows that someone doesn't like them, so goes
Yeah,
up
I
to
was
them
about to
and like,
say that. I think she radiates that kind of thing sometimes because she
oh my
seems to
gosh,
get herself in those situations more than the average. Because like
he just he
I was
literally
just
picked her out of
the
literally a
whole
crowd
crowd.
of people.
I was just talking to somebody about and friend of the pod, Maggie. If you're listening to the show, we're just goofing around. We love you. But I was just talking to somebody about how she would rather she's a vegetarian. She would rather consume a meal at a restaurant that inadvertently has like bacon on it than send the order back. So that's kind of for reference. She's just really not a fan of awkward social interactions. So I bet that was. So maybe if you're a viewer of the show, you may not be able to picture what we're saying, but I can definitely picture that was not something she enjoyed at all.
No, and then actually at the end of after they were going through, I think Jalen Carter was throwing beads,
Oh, you get some
and
beads off some of the
I
players.
I got some beads that off the buses, and they were throwing them, and I guess Jalen just didn't want to wing them because they ended up a couple feet short, and they have
You have to like dive on the ground.
but they have those barriers that stand 3 or 4 feet tall, and they're on the and there's cops everywhere, so you really can't just hop over the barriers. Um, but it was all of a sudden like all these people wanted these beads, like they had to have these beads, and they're like, "Hey, this one lady behind Levi was like, hey, I'll pay you $20 if you
Oh
hop over
no!
there and get me the beads," and I'm like, they're literally worth 13 cents.
How'd you
And
get yours?
I caught mine.
Oh, you caught yours fresh out of the air.
Yeah, I just stretched out right up because we were right up against the fence. We were first in row. I caught
That's
mine, but
that
then
old
there's other
school
ones.
training. That's that old school. That's what we for. That's what we used to do. That the training is ingrained in your brain. We used to go outside and just. That's how. That's how. If you wanna, if there's anybody watching here, you got a kid out there playing football, playing any sport, catching is involved. I don't know how they do it now. I think they do jugs machines. Um, we used to just throw it as hard as we could at the person's face.
Yeah,
And just move in, move a little bit closer each time, and then you just, if it's too close, it ends up hitting you in the head. You
that's
learn to
like the
catch,
Matrix.
yeah, you learn to catch that way, because if you don't, it's going to hit
You
you in the
die.
face.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah,
no, you don't die. It's
you
like
don't die, but it does. You
what
do
is it they
take one
say
off the
on
nose.
dodgeball? If you can catch a wrench, you can catch a ball.
You can dodge a wrench, you can dodge a ball. Yeah, that's what it was
That's
basically.
it. Yeah, that was
Yeah,
good.
essentially that's how we did it. So I guess that old school training came in handy there.
Yeah, it was that small. I was talking about somebody with that small ball that we used to have. It's a tiny football, and Jack was like 5 or 6 years old. We used to go out and throw the ball back and forth. And we went down to Bengals training camp the one time, and you just had all
Yeah.
these different Bengals guys signing this tiny little football. You might have been a little older than 5 or 6, maybe 7 or 8, but not old. And then I remember coming back and being like, I don't have any idea who signed this,
Oh yeah.
where, and all that
Well,
kind
I
of stuff.
know I got a couple of the good guys. I got like Chad. Chad Johnson was on the team. I don't know what his last name was at that point. Um, Rest in peace, Chris Henry. I got him. But yeah, I didn't know too many of the other guys because we weren't really Bengals fans. I knew the Eagles were. I could have at that time. I could have probably told you all 53 on the Eagles roster. But yeah, I didn't. But I do remember, and I don't even think you do. It's funny because the parallel of you talking about the people trying to bum the beads off people. We had gone because it was something with your work,
Yeah,
and like we got tickets to the practice, and we got like a different like we weren't like on the field, but we got like we were closer than the. I can still picture it. It was like bleachers, and then there was like a. We were like by these gates, so we were closer than like the normal people. Something with the work, and you had somebody that was like your work buddy or something, and he was desperate for somebody's autograph, and I was little, so I could sneak in between the people, and he couldn't get in there. And he slipped me a 20 to like give hand his ball. I think it was like Chad Johnson. I think because like you said, I had this stupid little tiny football and
yeah,
just like a marker, so everyone was just signing. It was like a little miniature. It was like a I don't know. It's like this big. It was just like a little football. So. And it was like half deflated. It was just whatever. I just carried it with me everywhere I went, so I just had it.
yeah.
Because I don't even think we knew we were going to get autographs. I think we just were going, and I
Yeah,
just
I'm
had
not
it
really.
on.
I'm not really like an autograph person, so
No, I'm not either.
I don't even think about that when I go to a
But your
place like
buddy
that.
had one of those like autographable footballs. Like it was like half football, half white. So there's like a
Half white, so you can just put it on there.
yeah, one of
Yeah,
those half white ones. And I remember he was like, "Hey, I'll give you $20 if you go up there and get Johnson's autograph." Like I'll do that for you.
if you do get a player's autograph, you should have them put their number on it. If you're trying to do it legitimately, because otherwise you may not know who it was.
Yeah,
So,
yeah,
like
that's a
during
good
the
idea.
parade, we've had this thing going. Somebody from the Eagles organization was at the parade. Looked an awful lot like Malcolm Jenkins. Came up
Do you
and
ever get to
shaking
the bottom of
hands.
that?
What's that?
Do you ever get to the because you sent me a couple
No,
pictures and
we never got to the bottom of that. We don't
yeah,
think it
because
was Malcolm. It looked a lot. I mean, we
yeah,
could
it's
probably
hard.
just say it was Malcolm Jenkins, but
Yeah, you probably could get away with saying it was. Yeah, it was. You sent me a couple pics. The angle, he was just like it was too. It was he was it was to the side, so you couldn't see the front of his face. And the thing that had me questioning was that you had sent me one of the photos you had sent me was like a full body shot, and I get that he's been retired and those guys' bodies change a little bit, but his lower body looked a little light in the ass for it to be a guy that was like a hard hitting NFL safety.
Yeah, I don't know.
Um,
We could never. We didn't figure it out. The other people that were near us, we swapped phone numbers, so they sent us some pictures, and we sent them some stuff, and they they thought the best that they could think of it was Malcolm Jenkins. But a
yeah, I
lot of
mean, it
times you
didn't.
just don't know. You know.
Yeah, it didn't jump out as anybody else. Did anyone get
No,
like an autograph where you like from him or anything like that?
no, no,
No,
no.
he
They
didn't
didn't
do the
have
number
time. They weren't
27.
they weren't really doing any autographs. They were just going around shaking hands. But it was great. I tell you, if you can do it for a reasonable amount of money, your team wins a Super Bowl. It's and you really enjoy it. It's great. I mean, there was so many Eagles fans, everybody in green, and
Yeah,
just yelling all day, and nobody was a jerk or any. It was just a great experience, and just you're surrounded by people, and we're not used to that because we're in Tennessee and we're Eagles fans. If you see an Eagles fan, it's
yeah. One
one
thing that's
person, right?
really annoying, one thing that why that would be fun for sure is that it's really annoying. It's I guess one of the I guess side effects. When I was 15 years ago, like I've never lived in Philadelphia. We grew up in Cincinnati, and you did, but I didn't. But growing up, the Eagles were not a powerhouse. I mean, they were a good team, but they went to the Super Bowl one time when I was little, and like '05, but didn't go back until 17. Um, I didn't get much like I didn't get much like flack from people because they weren't that good, and there's years we missed the playoffs. There was years, but now it's weird. I get a lot of comments from people when I'm wearing my Eagles gear, and it doesn't like really bother me because I don't care. But it is. I guess it just comes with the territory because we're in Tennessee. I get all kinds of comments from people like, "Oh, did you?" Some guy just said to me like, "Hey, did you buy that hat yesterday?" And I was like, "Just shut up."
And
Like,
yeah,
I'm
yeah.
not gonna like, I'm not gonna. I'm obviously in this store here. I'm not gonna. We were at the Sephora. I was taking Natalie for Valentine's Day to the Sephora, and some guy
Oh my
started
gosh.
ribbing me. I'm like, okay, I'm not gonna do this with you here at the freaking makeup store. But like, I just think it's funny too what other people say to like when I'm in the like. I don't ever. I just can't imagine making comments like that. But whatever. But I did think we should talk about. We haven't talked yet about the game at all. That was awesome. We had it was us. We had Maggie Jared, Jared's buddy Hayden, who he was a great addition, friend of the pod. Hayden, if you're watching this, great addition to the Super Bowl party. Jared's girlfriend Natalie, my fiance Natalie, they have the same name, and Hayden, a great addition. It was a little risky because he's not actually a fan of the Eagles, but he does. He's one of these Georgia guys, so I think it worked out because the Eagles probably have more Georgia players than anybody in the NFL.
Yeah, and I think he's always kind of like the Eagles. I know he had
Yeah,
some Eagles stuff, way back when those guys were in high school and stuff. So no, it was great,
so we had a good
and a lot of
crew. We had a good crew. We had some good food. We had some dishes. We had some desserts. We had some Eagles cupcakes. And we had a good group for it. Everybody was excited, and there's some big plays in that game, and that was here's after now that everything's cooled off. Because I've got this question. It was obviously a great day, great, very exciting, everything else, and beating the brakes off them was a satisfying experience. I will say though, there is something about like when the game is over with in like the fourth quarter or earlier, that is kind of weird about like the difference between because like the Eagles' first Super Bowl win came down to literally the wire, um, and you like on your edge of your seat, like don't blow this, don't blow this, and whereas like this one, it's kind of a weird thing because you're going into this game and like you're expect you with the Super Bowl, you're kind of expecting an underdog in the Super Bowl. I thought we would win convincingly, but it definitely is weird when you're like up 34-0. You're like, this thing's over.
You know what? I thought, like you said, I thought it could be either a close game or the Eagles blow them out. And, I was hoping for the blowout scenario, but I also wasn't really, I didn't want to talk about it, jinx it. But, it was 50 years. I was 50 years old when the Eagles won the first Super Bowl. And I was like, man, I never thought I'd see the Eagles win a Super Bowl. I really didn't. They got close a
Yeah.
couple times and all this other, but the whole time, I see those Super Bowl teams like the '01 Ravens and some of those Giants, the Seattle Seahawks team, and this would be like, man, a dominant defensive performance would be awesome. Like if I was ever the fan of a team that was just like locked down, like the 1990 Eagles, like with a gangrene defense, like that was awesome. They just had no offense. They couldn't win games because they just couldn't score any points, and Randall got hurt. But that was the closest I'd ever seen of somebody having just like stranglehold on defense.
Yeah.
And the fact that those guys came out and just absolutely beat them, on the front four, the middle line, the linebackers, the defensive backfield, everybody was just unbelievably tight defense. And they just made, you could tell, Kansas City quit. And that's cool when you can be like, you've exerted yourself so much that they're just like, there's nothing we can do.
Yeah.
They
And I
came out.
think that,
I watched it again. They came out in the third quarter and they had the ball, and the Eagles went 3-and-out. They went 3-and-out on the Eagles again. You're like, okay, this game's over. Right
yeah. And
there.
I think that speaks to a little bit of like, kind of what I'm feeling. Why, like, I think people have kind of felt like I'm not as excited as I would ordinarily be. But I think for me, I just look at this team and I'm like, it's not putting the cart before the horse. It's just like this team is just primed to be like a just a juggernaut. I mean, it's just like I think the difference between the last Super Bowl and this one is like going into the last Super Bowl, you're down your quarterback. You've got kind of some guys playing, guys stepping up because of injuries to other guys. You've got some spots on the roster where you're like, I don't know how that's going to go. You're playing up against Tom Brady and the Patriots, and like our secondary wasn't great and things of that nature. Running back by committee, all that stuff. And then you get to like this one, and you're still like, there's obviously a level of nervousness because like you really want to win and how important it is and everything. But like on paper, it's like we're just thoroughly the better team going into this game. And then you do it like that and you're like, I think it's hard not to almost leave with a good taste of like, um, I just hope we can keep the ball rolling. I hope this is something that can like kind of catapult you into being like, take it. But then it also comes with a little bit of like, it's kind of also a different feeling too, because now now you're the team that's won two Super Bowls in the last, 7, 8 years. And so now it's kind of different. Like, I think that was that was what we made 17. And I've tried to explain this to people. 17 so cool is like Eagles had never won a Super Bowl. They were constantly the team that got close and didn't get over the hump. They had great players, but they never won. And we were in that conversation with like we were a better team historically than like the Lions and the Browns
The
and some of these
Browns,
guys,
yeah.
but we weren't considered with you know these other like teams that had real success. And so
Yeah.
getting to that level. But now it's like I almost feel like you kind of can't be content with that because it's how good this team could be, for the next 5, 10 years.
Yeah, no, it was that was the vibe in Philly. I feel like 2017 was catching lightning in a bottle.
Yeah,
Like
yeah,
things just went the right way for them.
yeah.
And Nick Foles was like in a zone. They punted twice in that game, I think,
Yeah,
between both teams. Like you told me, they held the record in that game for most yards ever between
combined,
two
yeah, both
teams in a
teams.
game.
Yeah,
Yeah, so it's like,
that's one of the crazier stats. That's one of the crazier stats I've seen. The Eagles Patriots in that first Super Bowl that the Eagles won. That's the most yardage ever accumulated in an NFL game. Not even playoffs, not Super Bowl ever.
yeah, yeah.
That's crazy.
So yeah, it's funny. I went back and watched it again this week after I got back from Philly, and
the deal
but
rewatch.
I haven't watched the '04 game. I haven't watched the game from 2 years ago. I don't watch Super Bowls where we lose, but it's fun as heck to watch him when he wins. So it was great.
Yeah, it's been a great
I
couple weeks. It's been a great couple weeks for our group coming off that big win, and exciting too because, like I said, you kind of when you win in that fashion and you don't feel like it's a fluke, you kind of already start to think like um, when you lose a bad playoff game and you start thinking about the draft, it's more of like a coping mechanism. Like, okay, let's get rid. But like this is almost like, man, what could we do here in the draft or free agency? Like, we got a
yeah.
great unit. Like, what can we do here? Got a great opportunity within the division because I mean, Washington looks good, but Dallas and New York are kind of struggling. So it's like, what can we do here to add some
I
pieces? And
I will tell you this: Cooper DeJean is like the toast of the town in Philly. Like if you're looking to be like, hey, I I want to. Who's like the player that everybody is just can't stop talking about? It's Cooper DeJean,
I
you know,
love
so
Coop.
he's
I love Coop, but I'm my guy, my young guy at least is Quinyon Mitchell. I would pick up his jersey, or I would pick up I tried to get a Nolan Smith jersey, but
Nolan Smith.
I needed it for
There's one play in the Super Bowl, and he did
the
it
play
against the
where he are you talking
Packers.
about the play where he cracks that guy?
The pulling guard,
That was when
like
for anyone watching this, if you want to if you want to see like if you want to one play to kind of encapsulate the Super Bowl, there is a pulling guard coming across, and Nolan Smith probably goes 220, and his
240,
job
but still, he's much smaller than the pulling guard.
and your job and I watched some guy analyze the play. Like typically, your job in that position, the guard's coming across. His job is to kind of just get in there and spill the play out, so that keep it from going up inside in the hole, so that the defense from the outside can kind of spill over and take care of it. And he just comes in kamikaze style and just
Stops him,
bulldozes,
sends him backwards.
just completely annihilates.
It's like a head on collision,
Yeah, just
and
completely annihilates this guy who probably has over 125 pounds on him, and it
yeah,
was early on in the game, and I think that's when I think that's a good indicator of how that game went because they just were those guys were flying around. And Nolan Smith, I wasn't bummed because he's not bummed. They won the Super Bowl, but I did want him to get a sack in that game, but he didn't get one. But I think everybody but him got one,
yeah, yeah.
which is funny because he was part of my bet to get a sack. Uh, but he was all over the place. So yeah, that was awesome. And I think before we close, we were joking around before about how they closed down the bowling league because of the
1 inch
snow,
of
and
snow.
we had 1 inch of snow, and it had just had me thinking about we used to get a lot of snow back in Cincinnati, and a couple different funny memories come up. Does anything pop into your brain when you think about getting snow?
Um,
I'll tell you what does for me.
yeah, go for
Have we talked about Shelby on here?
it. No, we were talking about Shelby last night at the. We went downtown for happy hour last night. We were explaining about our dog Shelly, but
Yeah, we
no,
had an
we probably
outlier
have
dog.
not.
If we have, I guess we'll be redundant here. Yeah, we had an outlier dog of sorts in our household. We've mostly had just normal family pets, like lab types, or um, you know, got a mastiff. My dog here is a mutt, so they're just kind of lazy, like to lay on the couch with you. We somehow got ourselves like a Australian cattle dog,
Yeah,
and she just when they say somebody's built different, that's probably just the best description. She just didn't function like a normal household pet. She was just wired at all times and ready to roll. But the beast would just come out when it snowed, and because I think because when it would snow, we would just usually if we had a snow day. I had a couple buddies who lived within close neighborhoods, and they could literally walk over. And I remember we'd just play like football where you just like tackle each other, and There's no real
Snow
rules.
basketball. I remember playing
Yeah,
snow
snow
basketball.
basketball. You just
That's
kind of
always good.
yeah, you got that nice snow padding, so you're not really worried about injury. So you just put and you got your coats on and your pants on, your snow pants and everything else. So you're not really worried about damage too much. So you just tackle each other and whatnot. And she would just go nuts, and she would just like, I mean, just she did this thing where she just follow you around and just like she was like a herding. So she heard if she didn't have a ball, she just heard people. And I just remember her just like taking people to the ground. And then the thing is, if she got you to the ground, it was just it was a rough sledding from there because then she'd start grabbing you by the like boots and she'd
By the
get
back of
in
your
under
feet.
yeah she'd
Yeah.
get in underneath your snow pants and like grab you by the socks and like yank on you. There's a classic story in our house where my brother was Jared Jared was running around like we'd run around the kitchen where she would slide because she didn't have good traction. But the longer you escaped her, the more angry she got. So he was running around, and she finally caught him, and she just started dragging him around the
By his
kitchen
socks, right?
by his socks, and he was screaming, "Help! Help!
Oh
Help!
man. Well,
She's
that's
got me!
the
She's got me!"
yeah the famous Dewey story when we got Dewey, who's half golden, half black lab.
Full idiot.
Yeah, and so like he was playing with her, and she must have bit his foot, and we thought he like broke his foot because he
Oh
was
yeah,
just
we were very
oh my gosh, he was just
yeah yeah
bawling, and he's like 6 times her size. It's crazy. That
yeah.
was it
He
was
jumped over that. We all were checking him for like major injury, and I think he was
the
just more.
the snow dog story I remember is when your buddy Trenton came over with that little Welsh corgi that he had.
Yeah.
He had a little jacket on, and I think the snow was like 6 inches. So the poor little guy could hardly even,
Yeah,
get through the snow
yeah, I remember
because
that
his
now. Yeah,
legs
he
were like
brought
this
him.
long.
Yeah, his legs. It was one of those. What was his name? Bruiser. Yeah, and
Bruiser the corgi.
Bruiser the corgi. Yeah, and you're right. It was like 6 inches of snow, and we dropped him down in there, and he just sunk. He just sunk
Hey,
down there. You couldn't
hey,
even see him.
I do have one, a sort of a trivia question, but it leads into a little bit different question for you. But do you know why the USS Indianapolis is well known, or what it's known for?
That's the one we visited, right?
I don't know if no, probably not.
Mm.
Any idea?
Where's it stationed now? Is it like at a museum?
It's at the bottom of the Pacific Ocean,
Oh.
but it got sunk during World War II. But it was in the Pacific Theater, and all the people that were on board the boat ended up in the water, and 2/3 of the people. So there was like 900 people that were on the boat when it sank. 2/3 of them got eaten by sharks.
Oh no.
And so it's like it's one of those well-known stories from World War II. But I was talking last night with my friend Doug, and I'm like, so if would you have rather been on board the Titanic or the USS Indianapolis? And actually, about both of them had similar survival rates. About 1 out of 3 people survived, but you would have either been in freezing ice cold water or shark infested warm water in the Pacific. So
That's
if you
kind
had to
of a
choose, how would you choose?
neither one is a good way to go. For me though, I would much rather go. I'm sure. Okay, I'm not a scientist, so someone probably would be able to nitpick this. I would rather go down. Like I'm sure the coldness of the water probably you probably die probably some way quickly or something like that with the fact the water is so cold you probably get like hypothermia or whatever, and I would much rather go down like that than be eaten by any animal.
Eaten by a shark. Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm pretty scared of. I don't. That's why I don't really go too far out in the ocean to begin with. Um, I have major respect for sharks, but yeah, I'm pretty scared of them as well. Like you'd never catch me doing any of those like shark diving with like saying like, oh, they're gentle if you don't bother. No, I wouldn't be doing any of that.
Oh my gosh, there was a video this week of some guy that was like canoeing or kayaking over in like New Zealand, and
Oh,
there
the guy
was
got swallowed by a whale.
no, I didn't. I never saw that one. But this
No, he
one
got
was like
swallowed
had
up.
this one guy had a great white shark was following him, and that's
Yeah,
like
see, I wouldn't be able to do that.
no, that would be not cool. That would be one of the. I don't know what I would do about that. But I did think the other thing, and I'll let we can wrap up with this though. But there was there's people were on this tour boat or something, a small tour boat, must have been in Alaska, and this big sea lion hops up on the boat, and they're like, "You got to get off! You got to get off!"
Oh, and he
And then
was getting chased by a killer
by
whale.
all these orca whales,
Yeah.
yeah, and he's like, you can see him. No, no,
Yeah,
I'm not going back in there. No.
I've seen that. Yeah, no, I think the only time I would take the only time I would take any sort of horrible death would be I like people have said this like oh you would do this you I would go down in like a burning tower before I jump off. I'm deathly. I'm beyond deathly. There's nothing I'm more scared of than heights. I would never jump off of anything that I like. I can't even do. Yeah. So like, if it was like shark attack death versus take your chances with the shark or like jump off the Eiffel Tower, I'd take the shark. Um, I'd take anything before I'd mess with the heights thing.
Mm,
That's the
yeah.
only. But outside of that, I would take cold over shark. I'd take probably fire over shark. I'd take pretty much anything besides death by falling over shark.
I got you. Sounds good, man. Well,
Yeah.
this has
So
been a good catch up with you.
yeah. So we did some Eagles stuff, and now the season is finally over. So we're gonna have to. We're going to have to find some new ways to fill the airtime, but we're going to be, I think we're finally going to get back into our groove here, season two. You had to travel for the parade and whatnot, but now we should be back and things should be back in order and we should be ready to rip. Do you have anything else you want to leave with the people before we close out?
Nope, go birds. That's it.
Go Birds! Big Super Bowl win, and draft's coming up, and we're looking to reboot and get back at it. And the Unlimited Range podcast will be back hopefully next week. So we will catch you guys on the flippity flip.
See you, man.